Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, Josh, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is where we do business with you every single night of the week at 412-575-2600. And tonight's business includes a Pirates win 7-1 over the San Diego Padres. Paul Skenes gets a win, and they explode with 5 runs in the 8th. Tonight's business also includes the Penguins, who announced their team MVP, Erik Karlsson, and the Flyers won tonight. They beat the Devils 4-1. The Penguins will be in New Jersey on Thursday, so the difference is 4. Here to talk about that and more is Andrew Fillipponi up at 93.7 The Fan, PM Team. And Andrew, let's begin with the Pirates, who bounced back very nicely. And Paul Skenes said after the game they're really not playing their best baseball, and he says that could be scary because right now they're 7-4. O'Neal Cruz got a couple of RBIs, 5 runs in the 8th. Pretty good performance today by the Pirates.
They had 10 opposite field hits, which they have not done in a very long time. You don't see that in today's baseball. Guys consistently hit the ball the other way very consistently. That was a big reason why they were able to have a 5-run inning, and they were able to do it against one of baseball's better relief pitchers back in this game. I also felt like this was Connor Griffin's best all-around game. I know he had that huge hit to kick off his career on the home opener day at PNC Park, but since then, no hits. And right from the beginning against Pivetta, a pitcher that gives the Pirates a lot of trouble, hit a fly ball to center field that was caught. Then from there, hit 2 balls that were hit over 100 miles per hour, 1 to third, 1 past the shortstop that gave the Pirates their big lead and opened up the game enough to really have a rocking chair finish, and showed his wheels and legged out a ball that he barely made contact with but was able to use his speed to get on base. So he had a problem hitting fastballs in spring training. That's why his stats, other than home runs, were not very good there. And he was on top of things tonight, and that's a good sign that he's starting to click here and see the baseball better in the batter's box, Bob.
Yeah, no question about that. And Skenes looked very good tonight. Again, I don't think it was his best stuff, but he took a no-hitter into the 6th inning before Xander Bogaerts got him on the score sheet with a home run. That was the first, interestingly, that the Pirate pitchers have, starting pitchers have given up this year, which is kind of interesting. Here we are in game number 11. But other than that, it was a good night all the way around. They'll try to win the series tomorrow. Mitch Keller on the hill. All right, let's talk about Erik Karlsson. No surprise there, right? He was the MVP of this team the way he had played, especially when those times where the Penguins were without 2 of their best players, and he had to lift up his level of the game, and I think he certainly did that.
Oh, absolutely. His month of March was a historic one as far as point production goes, and with Sidney Crosby nursing that injury that he suffered in the Olympics, he's a guy that I thought had to raise his level of play. I mean, Chris Letang has had, I think, a pretty up-and-down year, so that's really put even more pressure and more on the shoulders of Erik Karlsson, and he's played the best hockey we've seen him play by far as a Pittsburgh Penguin. But, you know, the thing that is interesting about them, Bob, is, and you've pointed this out on the show, they're scoring more goals than ever before. They're second in the league in scoring. Only the Avalanche have scored more goals than them. But a disturbing stat is the number of goals they gave up in March, more than any other team by a very wide margin. The most goals in the entire NHL in March. And I know they played a lot of games, but so did everybody else. And that's got to get fixed. All right, you're not going to win games like they did on Saturday, scoring 9 goals consistently in the playoffs. And you've got to get that right. And I think a big part of that equation is, what are they going to do in net? And I got excited that Miroshov was there at practice today. And then it sounded like the reporters that were there in Muse poured cold water on it and pretty much said, well, he was there because they didn't know if Stuart Skinner was going to be able to practice in time. Skinner sounds good to go. And that could mean a return to the minor leagues for Miroshov. I don't want to see that. I want to see them get him some NHL games here in the last 4 and prepare him for the possibility of playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well, I think if they clinch on Thursday night and he doesn't play, he may play over the weekend when Washington comes to town, depending on how all this goes. Certainly, they don't want to lose their spot as the second seed and home ice against the Flyers, because the Flyers look like they're going to be the number 3 seed, and we're going to get that series, which will not conflict with the NFL draft, because if the Penguins get home ice, they'll have the first 2 games here. You caught me off guard last night real quick. We ran out of time, too. You asked me about my pick for the Masters real quick before we go to break. I said Jacob Bridgman. You said who? That guy has been playing really good golf. So, obviously, you're not going to take him. Who will you take?
Well, is this his first trip to Augusta?
Yes.
Has he played there before?
He may have played in college, but he's never played in this as a professional.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I believe Fuzzy Zeller.
Yes.
The late Fuzzy Zeller, who passed away back in the 70s when you still had an afro, is the last first-timer to win the Masters. That's a very long time.
Things have changed, Boney. There are a lot of young guns, and they're playing good. He's the #1 guy on the FedEx Cup points standing right now. He's won at a very difficult place at Riviera, the Genesis, which is loaded with big-time names, and he was right in contention to the Players all the way to the end. He finished 5th.
I like the X-Man, and I'm not talking about Carl Krauser or Xavier Nady, another ex-Pirate. Schauffele has won 2 majors. He's gotten that gorilla off his back. He is in the top 10 at every Masters. The guy is always on the final page of the leaderboard there. And if Scottie Scheffler's game, which seems to be not going to the elite levels that it's been going into the Masters in years past, if he really plays down to the competition, which he might, I think it opens the door for someone like Schauffele to get his first green jacket.
Yeah, a lot of great choices there. We're going to take a break, come back, and we want your phone calls on all these topics and more at 412-575-2600. You're watching the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We do this show 7 nights a week right here on KDKA+, and most nights it's also on 93.7 The Fan. Back with your calls next. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Jim Rosati, who says Paul Skenes' 2.08 ERA through 58 career starts is the best in the modern era, all the way back to 1920. And that includes, what basically you saw in the first game of the season when he went 2/3 of an inning, had some bad plays out there by O'Neill Cruz that cost him 5 runs. So the guy's been terrific, especially at PNC Park, where Pony, I think his ERA now dipped. He started at 177. It may have gone up just a tad here tonight, but that's how good it was in 15, now 16 starts at PNC Park.
This was, I think, his best game. Now, there's only 3 to choose from. But as far as his command, I thought he pretty much put the ball where he wanted to tonight. I thought in that brief outing against the Mets, even though they didn't hit him hard, they put the ball in play against him, and O'Neill Cruz has got to make some plays for him. But he walked the leadoff man to start that game. I didn't think he did particularly well in that respect. Had the same issue actually against the Reds, where TJ Friedl, the leadoff man, was getting on base with walks against him. And I thought his ability to put the baseball where he wants, which is the crazy part about Skenes, is that for as hard as he throws, he has excellent command. And I think this was the first game all year we truly saw that for him, where he really was able to take all 6 pitches that he has in his repertoire, Bob, and locate those pitches where he wanted. And when he does that, that's how you get the unhittable factor like he was or had for a big chunk of this game tonight.
412-575-2600. A lot of people on the lines. They want to talk, so let's get right to it, Pony, beginning with our #1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night, Wayne in Reserve Township, who joins us on line 3. Hey, Wayne, what's up?
Sure. Hey, Bob. How you doing?
All right. Go right ahead, sir.
I just want to ask you, Thursday, if we win the game, we clinch a playoff, and what do you think about our 4th line that got us there?
I love the 4th. I like all their lines, and now that they put Chinnikov up to the top line, I think he fits in well there, and that's allowed Novak to be with Malkin on that 2nd line, and they've also kept together the Kindle line with Mantha and Brazeau, and what they got to get Lizotte back too. He's a big part of this. I realize, Andrew, that
well, then who goes out?
What's that?
Who goes out? Big Elmer goes out?
Elmer Soderblom has to go out. Yes, even though he's played well. I mean,
wow.
Who do you sit then?
Well, I think you're probably right, but he's a fan favorite right now. He's playing great hockey.
Is he your favorite? I heard you have a little action on this. If he scores one more, you got to make a payment here? Is that what I understand?
I do. I would not mind if he went up to the press box the way that you're saying, but Dewar, Lizotte, and Achari was such a great 4th line for most of the year. And is Lizotte going to play tomorrow? It looks like he or Thursday, excuse me. It looks
Might.
like. See, I want to say tomorrow because for such a long time, we had game, off day, game.
Yep.
And this Sunday game, and now not until Thursday, it feels like an eternity between games for the Penguins. And it's just weird that this late in the season they have so much time off, Bob.
Yeah, well, they had played 20 and 36 days, so they needed some, and that's a good thing for them. They only have 4 left. They're going to get a little bit of a rest heading right down the stretch, and then the playoffs start before you know it. And I'm really looking forward to Penguins and Flyers because I think that's what it's going to be. Let's go to Matt and Butler. Hey, Matt, how are you tonight?
Hey, Bob, question and a comment. I think you just answered the question. I think you said it looks like the Flyers. A couple of weeks ago, I said they're coming on, and they certainly are. And that's all due to a coaching change down there. Hey, the other comment is I like Henry Davis seems to be doing a little better at the plate, so I'm glad to see that. And the other day when he had that little bloop that went between first, right, and second, he ran that thing out for what ended up a double, and some players wouldn't run that ball out.
And normally, yeah, you're right. I don't like to – we shouldn't praise that. That should be status quo with everyone. They should get up there and run hard, but he did tonight on a fly ball. There was a pop-up miscommunication out there, and he ended up at second base. It didn't result in anything, but I like that. I think everybody should do that because you see too many guys who don't do that. He still needs to be better in terms of the offensive part of his game. I hope it gets better, Andrew, because they need his bat, even though they have, imported some bats in free agency.
Well, they need Ozuna to earn his keep. And Ozuna had great numbers against Nick Pivetta in his career. I think as far as home runs given up by Nick Pivetta, Marcell Ozuna had the most off of him in his long major league career that spans time with the Phillies, Red Sox, and now the Padres. And yet Don Kelly still had Marcell Ozuna out of the lineup. So I would presume he's going to be out there tomorrow afternoon at 12:35 when the Pirates play the Padres to wrap up this series. 2 for 31 is horrible. But we've seen guys get off to ice-cold starts before, and that really is not something that carries over to the season whatsoever. But it does take on a different, I think, hue when it's a guy that's later in his career and he's not coming off a good year, and you wonder if how much of the bat speed, how much of the hand-eye coordination, those things, how much of that has deteriorated. And it's a fair question right now because he has really struggled, Bob. This isn't hard contact and bad luck. He's just looked awful in most of these at-bats so far this year.
And his swing doesn't look good at all. And listen, if this turns out to be a whopping mistake at $12 million, especially coupled with the fact that McCutchen is off to a really good start, those boos that you've heard earlier are going to only intensify. So that's something that, again, it's April. It's 11 games in. We'll see how it goes. Chuck in Uniontown joins us right now. Hello, Chuck. How are you this evening?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you. By the way, Bobby, I think it's an early happy birthday to you. I think it's this weekend.
Yeah, it's this weekend on the 11th. Yep. Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate that.
I want to talk about the balanced hitting in the Pirate lineup. Like we had tonight with so much balance, with balance and several guys doing well. This is going to make it easier for Connor Griffin because, even though he struggles at the plate a little bit, it's going to make it easier for him to assimilate himself into the offensive lineup because, he doesn't have to think that all the pressure's on him. And I know I'm taking you back a ways, but it reminds me of 1971 when a young Rennie Skenes come up in the World Championship Pirate lineup in 1971. I went on an 18-game hitting streak. And, if I'm not saying this team is nearly as good as 71, but if this team can continue balanced hitting like that one did in 71, that's going to make it easier for
No question. When you have a nice lineup like that, Chuck, you're right. It does take pressure off young guys. I was encouraged, Gonzalez is off to a pretty good start here. When Nick York plays, he's contributed too, Andrew. So, the bottom line is Triolo's out, so there's opportunities for some of these guys, and they're making the most of it.
Yeah. Bob, I had somebody text me during the break and said, you got the wrong first-timer at the Masters. You should be talking about Chris Gotterup as a guy that has potential to win.
Yeah, but you know
what
what?
are your thoughts on Chris Gotterup as a guy that can get it done at the Masters?
He might be able to. He hits the ball a long way, but unfortunately he sprays it a lot. Now, there is no rough down there as you know it. There's a lot of pine straw, and you can hit out of that. So it's a pretty, if you're a guy who sprays the ball around, he hits it like 350 to 370 off the tee. So that'll help him on some of those holes. But it still comes down to putting down there. If you're gonna score, you have to putt. And I don't look at him as an accomplished putter, at least to the degree that he has to be. I think if you watch my man Jacob Bridgman, you'll see that he does putt well, especially in bigger. Again, small sample size for me, but I like what I've seen from him. So there are a lot of guys out there. I don't know. Do you play some of these polls out there? I have one of those where you have to pick 6 different categories. And
well, you didn't invite me into it, Bob. So no, I'm not playing in it because you're just telling me about it now.
I have a number if you want to get involved. It's a friend of ours who works here at the station, so it's $50 to get in.
A number? Is it a 1-900 number? Is it easy to get in? What is this? Yes, I'll do it.
I'll send you the
for $50.
Yeah, but I mean, you pick there's an elite tier 1, tier 2, all the way through tier 6, and you have to pick one in each category. And it's tough because in tier 1 you have guys like Scheffler, like Rory, like all the top names, and you have to pick one. And so whoever accumulates the best score throughout the course of these different levels of, ability, this is how you win or lose. And it's not easy because you're going to get, like, if you had to choose between Scheffler and Schauffele, who you like, or Rory, or the game's top players, all it takes is one bad round to throw you off.
Well, I saw the Masters Champions Dinner was tonight, and that's always a big deal when the menus come out, and Rory McIlroy was in charge of that this year as the former champ. And they take that picture with all the guys wearing their green jackets. There was no Tiger Woods and there was no Phil Mickelson.
Right.
And say what you will about both of those guys and their trials and tribulations, but those are two of the biggest faces in golf. And in my opinion, for as great as the field is there in the event, it is not the same when Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods are absent from Augusta National, Bob.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, but they're not going to be there. John Rahm is there. Dustin Johnson is there. They got a few of these live guys who've won, including
Well, Dustin's
Bubba
not
Watson.
going to compete. Throw Dustin out of there. He took the money from Liv.
I'm not going to throw him out.
He took the money from Liv. Well, Sandy Lyles won down there, too. You're saying he's got a chance to win the Masters? How about Jose Maria Olazabal? He's won twice. Should we put any stock in him?
No.
How about Bernhard Langer? He's about 70. He's still playing.
He's still playing well.
He still looks good out there.
Believe it or not, Angel Cabrera, who spent time in prison, and he won at Oakmont in the U.S. Open. So he's back down there.
Is he allowed at the Champions Dinner, or is he banned?
He was at the dinner.
After his time in prison.
He was at the dinner.
Wow.
I don't know if he's playing or not, but he's at the dinner, yeah. Had a cigar afterwards, He had my drink of choice is Louis XIII down there, especially if it's not my money spending it, but I have a feeling that the winner has to buy it, so we'll see. All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back with more right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, we're back and almost out of time, and you see what you just did, Andrew? You got our producer, Steve Banco, to go into AI and create this. So that's not, although I still may have that shirt, I think. I still may have that shirt. Come on, man, back in your disco days, why not? We're out of time. You're not going to have a chance to talk about it.
See you, Bob.
Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Good night.